Hi everyone. Alright, so it's already time. We'll be waiting just a little bit for people to join in, and then we'll get started as soon as possible. Okay, just checking, can you see, hear, everything's alright? The setup is quite recent, so I just want to make sure that it's all fine. If you have any question, any remark regarding the sound or the video or anything, please drop a line in the chat so that we can solve it. Yes, indeed, this is a new stream. This is not one of the usual ones that are planned on the Saturday or Wednesday. This is a stream to present the new version of the Game Maker. We've released the new version of the Game Maker in December, and the idea is to showcase a bit the features and go over them together just so you can grasp what was brought by this new milestone that we achieved. All right, I think we can start, and the latecomers will be able to join in, ask questions anyway. So welcome everyone. Just to give a bit of context to people that were not especially on board with the stream and didn't know about the different parts. So this is a stream for the Game Maker, which is the game creation tool in the Sandbox universe. We are currently creating on the Sandbox a gaming platform allowing creators and players to play together in an ecosystem, and the Game Maker is a cornerstone of that system. It allows for creator with little to no knowledge in terms of code to make sure they can create cool experiences for the players to play afterwards. And today we are going to cover the latest update of the Game Maker, which is the 0.4. So in terms of general orientation of the Game Maker and what we try to achieve with it is that we want to be giving to players and creators something to work on together. The idea is to find the middle ground between easy creation and a lot of possibility regarding creation. We do not want to contain our creators into one single type of creation. We want to open the borders as much as possible, but on the other hand, we want to keep things extra simple so that anyone can jump in and start creating. As long as you are able to find a decent computer to download the Game Maker, you can get your hands inside it and try to make a game. So in terms of new features for the Game Maker, we are looking at quite a bunch of new features actually. The past few months have been quite intense in terms of exciting development, and a lot of it has revolved around improving the way you can interact with the Game Maker. We try to improve the readability, we try to improve the tools, but we also try to improve the way you understand how you make a game. Some shortcuts were made to make sure that the basic features are quite accessible. So to give a bit of a list, we'll be talking about the avatar and the controller and the different ways you can make your character be more alive, and how you can link it to the player profile, how you can still decide to go with your own avatar, for instance. We also talk about a bit of presets regarding lighting, regarding audio, regarding kind of the ambient mood that you can create. We'll also be talking about some of the cameras that we try to implement. It's not fully supported yet, but it's a nice view to change how players can perceive your experience. We'll talk about the improvements to the quest system, to the rules, to make sure that we cover the basics and what we are trying to aim for. Then we'll be also talking about the readability improvements regarding the actors, the behaviors, and how we want to have a sort of unified display to make sure that the players do not get lost into the information. And I will also be talking a bit about the library, which has had quite a massive rework. So it's a bit more flexible and allows for deeper research at the moment. And I think that's pretty much it. I might have forgotten some things along the way, but we'll dive into it anyway. And if you have any questions, anything that you'd like to see, please let me know. Okay, so starting, I just created 2 scenes. They are very basic scenes. I pretty much put 15 minutes to put this together, but it was just to illustrate how we can create easy experiences from pretty much basic stuff. So for those who don't know at the moment, we can, from the Sandbox marketplace on the dashboard, you can grab some assets that you like to use to create some thematics world that you'd like to create and you'd like to explore. So I set myself upon the pirate team and the Viking team. For some reasons, I loved the new pirate assets that I just seen. So I grabbed a bunch of them and put them together into the Pirate Cove. So without further ado, let's jump into this one. I think it will be about an hour stream, maybe yeah, an hour stream, and then there will be some time for Q&A. All right, so this scene is just something I put together pretty quickly. As you can see, it's not very populated. It's from one of the teams that we use at the moment, the biomes, which is the jungle islands. So it's just creating a bit of islands with some kind of ruins vibes on them. And you can find some pretty nice caves dug into the islands that could form some very interesting places to hide some treasure, for instance. So it inspired me a bit of pirate action in there. So I just put up a very simple pier with one ship that is there. There is the flying captain, which should be a bit lower actually. And then a small but established pirate camp that has just a few defenses and a small market here. So the idea here was that I just wanted to illustrate how quickly you can put something together, and now with just a few more adjustments you can make it even more how to say, vibrant. So here we go. I dive into the menu that lots of you might not have been able to see right now, which is the global parameters. This is one of the major improvements, bringing 4 main tabs to the game, which are the avatar, the camera, the controller, and the ambience. The avatar is just a way for you to select officially if you want to support the player avatar or if you want to support your own custom avatar for your game. The player avatar is going to be reading from the player account and is going to retrieve all of the information from that player. So the different skins may have and the different equipment he may have in his inventory or equipped at the moment. Right now it's only reading for the skin, the equipment part is coming afterwards, but this is the general idea. And the custom avatar is allowing you to place any avatar you'd like to use to bring something that might be closer to your team. But you have to keep in mind that by doing so, you are not supporting the official avatar, and so you might not be eligible to the Metaverse gameplays in the end. So it gives you more control, but you are not giving more control to the user over how he wants to play. So let's go for the player avatar at the moment, just for the sake of illustration. So this is my avatar. It's a bit of a mix between a cyber jacket and some pretty slick red sneakers. And I got my pink hair. So as you can see, my avatar has been loaded into the game and I am playing with it at the moment. But if, as a creator, you deem that it's not as fitting to be having the players playing with his own avatar, you could very well decide that you want to have a fixed experience. So instead of using my own avatar, I could be deciding to use the custom avatar, and here I selected the pirate captain, which is Hurtless. I think that's the one I want to go with. Yeah, that would be good. That's the one here. Okay, so now I chose a custom avatar, and there it is. The player will be playing with the avatar that I selected, which gives me a bit more control as a creator. Now you have to keep in mind that the main difference will be that this avatar has completely set attributes. So if you want to be giving the player a chance to have attributes defined by his actual skills and equipment, this is not the way to go, because you will have something that is very controlled and unique to this experience, but that does not allow the player to come with his own skin and outfits. Okay, so let's go back to my regular avatar, which is my go-to. And we can start looking at the other tabs here. So the second one is going to be the camera. The camera is at the moment third person, so it's the default view that we want to support. But as you can see, we implemented a few other options for you to play with. Just be aware that it's still in the process of fine-tuning, but it's still a nice change to the game to start having your avatar displayed as a first person, for instance. So here I'm going to just shuffle around a bit with my sword in hand and try to find a way to climb up, maybe. Yeah, here. And yes, here is the cannon that is defending the bay. All right, so this FPS view is, again, just one click away. You might want to change how the game looks in one click. There you go. We can go over the other cameras. The top down, I think, are pretty much equivalent, which is a slight way for you to give a broader view to your player with a feeling that makes it feel more like maybe an exploration game, or to give you some more details about your environment. So you could be playing puzzle games with that, and if you are a bit if you have a bit of imagination, you could very well see how this could turn into a side-scrolling game in no time. I got stuck into a cave. One of our level designer actually managed to create a very good-looking 2D side-scrolling level with actions such as this, and the 3D perspective in it gives a very nice touch, adding a lot of depth to the scene. All right, so now next to the camera setting, I go back to third person, just for the sake of the rest of the presentation. We have the controller. So this might be the biggest change that we are introducing into the game maker. The idea here is to try to replicate what we want to push in the end with the idea of package. So for now, we are building up a package that we could define as Adventure RPG, which is pretty much a third-person view with a lot of action regarding enemies, regarding attack, regarding progression, loot, and so on. But in the end, it's just one of many. Here, you are going to be able to select between a few controllers to define how you want your character to be moving and how you want the interactions in the game to be working. Here you have a lot of information regarding what kind of variables, what kind of data are tied to this controller. And here on the right, you will see how it is affected by the attributes the user possesses. So here, for instance, you can see that a lot of damage related are actually affected by the power, whereas some of the interaction range here is defined by magic and some other stuff is defined by speed. And this is just behavior. So this was a way for us to separate the avatar, separate the controller from the rest of the game, because it's a very special and unique component to the game. You are by defining the avatar and how it works, you are defining most of your games in a few clicks. Then on the same page, you have the component, which is also a component that is attached to the avatar, which will also be affected by some of the attributes from the user. So in that way, you can truly find how you want to balance your game and see ranges that the user can attain. And we can jump to the last tab, which is the ambience. And I think this is one of the most stunning change to the game in just a few clicks. I'm going to create a nice view for you to appreciate what I mean by that. Is that you have the possibility right now to be changing ambiences is in just one click. So here I move to sunrise, which is my personal favorite because of the cast shadows. And you can see that the shadows are being cast and you have a very different setup in your scene in just one click. So this is just a way for you to, again, choose the kind of display you want to use and choose how you want to make your player feel. Here is the sunrise, but you can also go for night or for high noon, and even for a very bright environment, which is a sunny one without any clouds. And the second part is going to be the sounds. So we are introducing, and this is a bit of a spoiler here, we are introducing a few concepts in the next iterations. So you will find some of the music that we're using for those. And the music is, well, it's a way to create a game in a few clicks. Really, it adds so much to the ambience. Like, say, I want to just add the oracle's music, which I find very relaxing in a way. And this is adding so much to the experience in just 2 clicks with the lighting and the sound. All right, let's see how we change the perception to just, oh no, let's go back to sunrise, because I do love sunrise. Oh, let's go. Here we go. In 2 clicks, this feels completely different. You can see the deep angry map here. Okay. I see that there's a market with stuff partially looted. I'm wondering if we can add some meat to that. I think the second step here would be to dive into the rules. This is one of the other major overhaul to the game at the moment, which is how we want to interact with the rules. So we have been working on the panel a little bit just to improve how its overall usability. So the collapse here is just very neat to keep stacking quests without feeling obligated to scroll down to the bottom of it. But the major change lies into the interaction between quests and entities. So let's say that I want to create a quest, which is going to be fresh products. Okay, let's use caps because I am a caps man. So fresh products, and it will be bring new products to the market. And here are the two next steps, which are the unlock quest and launch quests, which are going to be either auto unlock, which are going to be that as soon as it's available, it's going to be unlocked. So at the beginning of the game, and then launch quest, which is going to mean that again, it's going to launch as soon as it's available. So it's unlocked, so it's available, it can launch. So it's going to be the beginning of the game. Here, I want to add a little bit of granularity to it, which is that I want to send a message before I can start that quest. So my quest is fresh products, and I'm going to use the new message system that we implemented, which is going to be start fresh product, and I'm going to add that keyword to the message system. So right now, I have this message, which is start fresh product, which is going to start that quest for me. And so I'm going to stay into collect objects, and I'm going to want to collect something with the tag fresh product. And let's say I want 10 of them. And then the quests, again, at the end, there's the completion, which is going to be either auto completion once the counter is completed, for instance, or to require a message, which means that you have to complete the objective and interact with something, or waiting for an input. Then after completion, you can either do nothing, which is just you completed the quest and that's all, or send a message, which can trigger a lot of different other quests to have some chain in your quests, or you can even decide to end the game to consider this quest as a victory condition or defeat condition. Then that is the message that you want to send, and I will send a fresh product complete. Oh, need to add it. Okay, so I have the basic setting for a game that a quest that's just going to be started upon receiving a message, waiting for me to collect 10 items, and then sending message upon completion. I'm going to remove the excess ones, which I don't need at the moment. And we are going to add just a little something to start the quest. So we have this market tenant here that is just prompting me that the market has fresh product every day. But now let's say I want to add, so this is a speaker component that is going to display something when it detects me as the avatar. And I want to add, say, a message when I receive that comment from the speaker. Or maybe I want to instead have a question. So, oops. I'm going to have that player asking me, would you like to earn a living, for instance? Yeah. And if I say yes or no thanks, I'm going to trigger two different messages. One being in the list here that I want to start a fresh product. So if I answer yes, I'm going to start it. If I answer no, I won't. Let's see if that works. So we still have the music. And we'll have that person. Would you like to earn a living? Yes, I would. And no. So I missed something. What did I miss? Oh, the message was not saved. That might be why. Product. Again. Okay, that's two times. That's no coincidence. Let's move on with a different way to implement it. I'll remove the asker, which doesn't want to comply with my demands. And I'm just going to add that message to the speaker that is just displaying that the market has new loot every day. So I'm going to add a message when this is displayed that is going to start fresh product, start fresh product again. And this time, I hope the NPC will comply. Yes, compliance, finally. So I now have that quest that asks me to bring 10 fresh products to the market, but I have no clue what fresh products are because I didn't set any. So let's add a bit more visibility to that. So I was talking a bit earlier about how we wanted to increase visibility for players and for creators to have something that can be consistent throughout the games and that you can really have as a standard for the players to recognize. So this goes through the indicator components that we have improved, which now has a very different weight function with the quest. Now that I have this indicator component, I can change the display name as usual. I can change some things if I go back into the edit logic, but the new interesting thing is the quest cursor. So this character, I want it to be a giver because she is going to be giving me a quest. So she's going to be giving me fresh product. Let's see how that looks. And there we go. We now have a quest on display. That character is going to give me that quest, and then the market's gone. And now I want to have 10 fresh products. So as we're speaking about pirates, we're speaking about loot, I think it would only be quite logical that it's not obtained without a fight. So let's say I want to have a few pirates to fight here. That I'm just gonna add like this. And we are going for the melee enemy. I'm going back on the melee enemy after displaying a bit the new fight and the new interactions. Here, I want them to look at me when I'm coming here. And then we're going to just put a few booty there, which is going to be the treasure. And I want to collect, let's say the treasure map is the currency on that island. It's quite fitting, I guess. So I just have a few hidden treasure maps here. And I will add the fresh product tag, meaning that when I collect them, they will be completing my fresh product quest. And of course, they need to be collectible. Okay, so if I remember correctly, the quest uses the fresh products. Yes, fresh product, and I need 10 of them, which is a bit too much. So let's go for 3 because I just placed 3. And again, here we go. We now have the quest, which is like here, and it's asking for you to collect those 3 fresh products. But then again, I don't really know where they are at the moment. It's pretty not obvious. I know they are somewhere around there because I just placed them, but there is a way better way to display it, which is again going to use the new indicator component. So the new indicator component also has an objective tag, which allows you to say that those elements are going to be displayed as objectives for the quest. So now I define them as objective. I want to make sure I can see them from quite a long distance, just so they are available from the start. And now, when I get the quest, I should have a very clear indication of what to do next. Yes, I have those 3 points on the map asking me to go and collect the treasure maps. So let's go and collect them. And we have a few enemies to fight along the way. Oh, I placed some enemies with quite high damage. That's unfortunate. Let's run. Oop, I got the treasure maps. Okay, I completed the quest. And goodbye. No, you're way too strong for me. Oh, please, leave me alone. The enemies will have some tracking range, and as those enemies are epics, they will end up tracking me to the edge of the world, which happens to be a creepy kind of Aztec temple. So yeah, I think they're done now. Yes, they're going back to the initial point. Alright, so that was just a way to create a simple quest in a few minutes to give players some objectives with the enhanced visuals that we provide with the indicators. So as a quick review, let's go again over the details of the indicator just to make sure that it's fully covered. The giver, which is going to be the exclamation mark, is going to tell that there is a quest to take. The objective, which is an objective for you to collect, so a point that you are going to reach on the map. And the receiver, which can be used as a way to complete a quest. Say that instead of just auto-completing the quest when you collect the items, you want me to bring them to a new character that is at the other side of the map, then that character could be defined as the receiver and be the completion trigger of the quest. Okay, I see that there are a lot of questions on the chat, and I skipped most of them because I was absorbed by the quest system. But let's see if I can answer a few. Angus, can we add our own sound effects and music to our games? Not yet, but it's going to be available soon. Ado is asking, where's the difference between unlock and launch quests? Unlock is just going to say that the quest is available, and then launch quest is going to start that quest. So you could have a few quests unlocked, but not started yet. Does anybody know if we will be able to sell and trade any kind of ERC20 tokens? Yes, in time. Not yet, but it's going to be available. Nice to see different lighting and look created by the background. Can you explain more about those? Yes, we went over them quickly again, which is we have 4 lighting preset here, allowing you to change the ambience in just a few clicks, and again for the sound as well. And will you expect to improve collision box, especially for animated assets? Yes. This is a subject that is a bit difficult to handle because the collision depends on the way the model is created. So in the end, it also lies on how it was exported from VoxEdit. So at that point, there is a bit of connection to make between the platform and the game. And up to this point, we are relying on some collision boxes that could be a bit finer, but it's something that requires a lot of engine dev. Okay, so here I covered what I wanted to show about the quest and the role system. The 2 key points are really the new way to create messages, which are going to be stored and usable in a pretty simple way with a way to search for them, which of course is going to be way easier for you to manage without having like typo issues or any issues with forgetting what a message is and having to set up manually on the other side. And the second biggest takeaway being the possibility to create clearer indicators for requests. So now to the next point. You maybe have seen it during the presentation, but the library has changed quite a bit. We are using a new system, a completely new system for the library. Instead of having a window that is on the middle of the screen, there is this new library, which is currently getting some major improvements in terms of flexibility and sorry, losing my words here, which is getting improved in terms of lightweightness, because at some point it was taking quite a toll on the game maker after a while, loading all those assets, and now it's being optimized. So we can have a lot of different assets without making the game lag in any way. The filters are being upgraded as well to be able to filter by the different categories we have without issues. And here we have the famous Samurai Seb. Right. I don't think there is a lot more to cover in the library, except that it's greatly improved in terms of performances. And this is a work in progress that will continue over the next releases. So regarding the behavior changes, in addition to the indicator, which is the one that received the most changes, the second one would be the melee enemy. The melee enemy, which I used on those 4 pirates here, is a behavior that is defining how the enemies work, how they fight. So this behavior here, as you can see, which is affected by speed, which is affected by power, which is affected by defense, will define the speed of the enemy, the attack rate, the attack damage, the health. That's like the basics. But then if you dive a bit deeper into the enemy behavior, you will find some other options. So we now have a patrol system that allows you to set the enemy to patrol with a chasing zone and a patrol zone. Then there is the different type of attacks with basic attacks or AoE. Most of this is still work in progress, but this is showcasing how we want to treat the enemy depending on its rarity. Just to explain that the more rare your asset is, the more options you're going to have in the behavior. On the other side, we also wanted to give a bit more flexibility on the creators as to how you can manage the difficulty of your enemy. So 2 main points have been added, which is the possibility to make the enemy interruptible, which means that if you hit the enemy during an animation, it's going to stop. And the second point being that it can block attacks. Blocking attacks means that you have to break the guard before you are able to damage the enemy. So it adds a bit of challenge to the combat, especially when you are surrounded by many enemies and they can all block the attacks, meaning that you have to break the guard and then attack them. In the end, it can be quite a challenge to overcome. So let's try it out with maybe simpler enemies, because I went for epic ones, which might be a tad too much for now, especially if I don't have any gear. So let's go for a not epic one, and still go for a pirate. Okay, maybe the pirate moose should not be that much of a threat, but let's add it. So it is the melee enemy by default. So you can see the values are much lower, like the attack damage, the health, the attack rate is going to be lower. But I want to make it available to block attacks, and we'll show the difference by just moving those 2 here and this one behind, and showcasing the difference between the 2 interactions. So this one will be the one that can block, and those 2 won't be able to block. Okay, so I take the quest, I can start and go towards them. So the first 2 ones are not going to be much of a challenge. They have low attack rates. They are just trying to eat me, but they won't be very successful, and I can just kill them in a few hits here. Second one too. But the third one can block, so I don't damage her without making a heavy attack to break the guard first. So I need to create some distance, charge, heavy attack, and then I can do something about it. Again, with one enemy, this is not much of a challenge, especially that this one was not very fast or not very strong. But if you add more difficulty with an enemy that has more HP or more damage or more speed, and you add the blocking capacity, and you even add the fact that you cannot interrupt the enemy while he's attacking, you create some pretty interesting fights. Alright, I think that was all I wanted to share about this experience, which we improved a little bit over the course of this demonstration. Now, one thing that I kept mentioning during this first part is the inventory, and is how you can equip gear to improve your character. So we'll dive into that, but in a second experience. So let's save this one just to keep the state it's in, and move back to the menu. And so we did for the fjord. Skyro, the game maker v0.4 that is showcased at the moment is already live. You can get it from the Sandbox on the Create section. Will it be possible to have a very dark ambient mode when the lighting comes from localized objects? Yes, absolutely. It is possible. If you change right now the ambience to night, for instance, you have quite a dark setting, and you can see that some emissive properties can add a lot of visibility to some assets. So let's keep the dark setting here with this asset, so you can notice the emissive properties. In the future, we might add some even darker ambient so that you can probably create something with neons or flashing lights or other type of very visible light sources. Okay, so here is a very simple setting. I'm spoiling here with the rest of the setting. It's just something to showcase the equipment, how we implemented the equipment, how we can use it to create experiences. So as a creator, you can pretty much use equipment that you can possess or find in the basic library to place it in your experience for players to pick up. Players will have, by default at the moment, a very common sword, which is here, and you can equip or unequip. So in the equipment tab here, I'm going to find all of my equipments. And in this tab, the quest item, I'm going to find all of the other items I can pick up. So in the previous experience, I missed the opportunity to show you, but here you would find the maps that I collected. So here you have the sword. If I equip it, you can notice that my power went up by 25, which is the amount of attributes that the sword gives me. And this is going to affect how much I hit for, because this is how this is how, if we go back to the global parameters, this is how the controller works. So the power is going to affect my attack damage, my heavy attack damage, my thrust attack damage, which is not implemented yet, and also the jump force. It's not a lot for the jump force, by the way, because we don't want to break the ratio between the blocks, but it's just to make platforming a little easier, for instance. So let's go back to this simple setting. I placed on the map a very simple quest that is disclosing the location of a cache which contains items. So I'm going to head for them and to grab those items. Some dead people. And here I can find a full set with a Viking helmet, Viking braces, bodyguard, boots, shield, and sword. So I'm going to pick them up here. And once I pick them up, I sort of wake up the angry guy that was just lying there and waiting for me to come and completely depossess him of his belongings. So this is achieved through a toggle behavior that can allow you to start a behavior at a given point. So here the given point was completion of the quest, which was to pick up the items. And now this enemy is actually an enemy when before it was just a waiting enemy. So I'm going to try to create some distance because I want to equip what I have in my inventory here. I'm going to equip the helmet, braces, shield, boots, sword, and bodyguard. And I'm getting hit. Okay, so now I'm fully equipped and I can give a proper fight. And I'm not very good at this. I'm getting it way too often. There we go. So you can see the equipment on the character, which is completely customizable. If you create your equipment, of course, it's going to be reflected here. And as you can see, the different stats have been increased by the attributes. So for instance, instead of having 100 health, I'm going to have 225, and my damage is going to be increased a bit. So let's try this in a dummy situation here. Do I have any? Yeah, I have the wooden dummy, one of my favorite assets. Okay, so I'm going to place that wooden dummy here, and I'm going to just place a health behavior on it. Okay, that's it. And I'm going to add a sword, the high fantasy sword, for instance, here. And what else? Oh, let's go for the full high fantasy set because it's quite cool. I'm going to drag this here. Okay. Here we go. I'm going to have them all as, no, not you, as collectibles. I'm going to set them all to 1. And here we have our next gear pieces. I'm going to grab them and equip them. So here, for instance, the sword, which is quite sick. Chest pieces, helmet. So there's a bit of a thing going on with the collision of helmets because the heads are quite massive. So at the moment we are looking at a way to solve this, but let's remove the helmet for the moment because it looks silly. And we're going to add the shield as well. So we have this kind of good looking armor here. Oh, sorry, I hit the wrong button here. Okay, let's go again. Oop. Grabbing the stuff. And for the sake of the demonstration, let's look at that dummy. If I hit right now, 9 damage. So that's not super impressive. If I go with improved equipment, which give me 75 power and 175 defense, as you can see, my health has gone up quite a bit. It's now 392. And I'm going to hit for much more, 17 damage in one hit. And the charge is going to be deadly, I think. But I was not in range. I was not in range. Okay. Anyway. So the equipment is something that can bring a lot of depth to your experiences, since you can be rewarding some pieces after some heavy action or inside quests or inside chests, or even make them loot on some enemies. So that way you can have a sort of progression inside your experience, inside your game for players to discover. Okay, so now this guy, if I complete, I didn't start the quest, so I won't be able to complete it. Okay, let's go back here. And let's do it with the heavy armor that is here, because I want an easy fight. Okay. As you can see, I reuse here most of the options from the previous experience, which is using the markers to have a better way navigating the scene and understanding what my objectives are. So again, this guy is no threat at the moment. I could even cheat by going and hitting the guy without him being toggled. But now he's toggled and he's angry. Come on. Okay. And with that new equipment, it wasn't much of a challenge. All right. This is a cool view. Okay, I think here I covered pretty much what I wanted to disclose. Let me check quickly if I had any more notes for you to discover today. Oh, actually, we could be making some tests with the enemy AI because we wanted to improve the enemy behavior, and that way we added some group behavior to the enemies. Instead of having them all following the same point and trying to eat you at the same time, we like that point where you have a sort of crowd behavior between the enemies. So let's see if I can replicate this right now with a few enemies. So let's take Eric, which is the one I used there. We're gonna use a few Erics, and I should have placed them way farther than that, because I'm going to be dead before I even grab the equipment. Okay, so they're here, and you guys, you move back there too. Okay, just checking they are set up as enemies. Yes, they are. So let's take a bit of gear. Go. And we're going to fight them. So the enemies are going to try and circle me. So they are not going to all come from the same direction. So I'm going to be trying to manage them in different positions. Oh, got a bit of lag there. And as you can see, they won't be taking turns to hit me. It's basically whoever can hit me is going to do so. But it's not going to be completely simultaneous, so that you can have time to dodge, roll, and kind of navigate your way around the crowd. So here I'm getting a bit stuck with the colliders. The enemy is blocking me in a corner. And again, in that crowd, if I was to place some of them as capable of blocking or not being interrupted by being hit here, I can just interrupt them. See, when he's trying to hit, I can interrupt. Let's wait for him to hit me again. Oh. Nope. And I'm dead. All right. Come here. Here we go. Okay. I saw a bit of questions here, so let's go back to it. So the last question was from Angus regarding the emissive properties. Yes, for the torch. Can you show how to set up the toggle behavior correctly? Yes, I can, absolutely. Let's go into edit mode to find it. Okay, so Again, this starts here with the rules, just to give a bit of context, with the message being for fathers complete. So this is the message I'm going to send once I gather all of the equipment that is laid here next to the stone. So it's very simple. This guy here has a behavior, which is the meta enemy, and it also has a toggle behavior, which is a component. So let's remove it and let's add it here. So it's the toggle behavior. And this toggle behavior is going to wait for a message to turn on and a message to turn off. And then you also have an initial behavior state to define. So to set up that guy properly, I just need to define that the initial state is going to be false, so that the behavior is off. And then to turn on, I just want to complete the quest. So as soon as the quest is going to be complete, this is going to be triggered. So let's make sure it happens. So I started the quest, and if I go around that guy at that moment, is not going to do anything. Yep, dancing, no problem. But if I collect everything, yeah, he gets startled. Okay. So this is how you can make the world react quite simply to your user, your player behavior and completion. Yeah, you can't comment. Okay. Are the gameplay mechanics generally all quest based? That's a good question. No, actually the quests are a way for us to add more context, more narrative to the mechanics, but you could very well be creating a game without any quest at the moment. If I just want to place some platforms, for instance, to create a platforming game, and my objective is just to have the player reaching the end of the game, I can just place a victory point at that spot and consider that when the player reaches that point, the player wins. But the quest can allow for a better understanding of this situation. If you have an initial quest that says you have to reach that point and you have a marker at that point, that is way clearer for the player to understand. And if in the middle of it you have some side quests, for instance, if you mark some secret gates or some more difficult passages, such as bonuses for the player, then again, it's going to be clear if you have a quest attached to it or a way for the player to understand in a simple manner. Yeah, it runs on the stone. The pathfinding is fixed, pretty much. And Andy, the question was, thank you. Why did you leave one as trigger? Let's get back into it. Oops, here, just to make sure I understand what you mean. Toggle message trigger. Oh, okay. That's an empty. That's just it's just if I want to combine the two messages with the same. And here, trigger is just a way to say that it's the keyword. It's like none. So at the moment, it's not acting in any way. Could be placing none. It's the same effect. Yeah, same result. All right. I think it's pretty much all I wanted to share with you today. if we have anything else to cover. If you have any questions, anything you would like to see, any live demonstration that you'd like to see me try, I would be happy to oblige. And in the meantime, I'm just going to move around with the shiny armor stuff on me. There we go. If it's bulky. This guy came from a long way to find me. Okay, can you do another stream at a later date for Londoners showing more details about wallet and asset management, how much it will cost to publish assets, how to work with a team, etc. I suspect such streams are gonna happen. I'm not the one doing the planifications at the moment, so I give that feedback to the other streamers. Is it possible to retrieve objects such as keys to be used later in the game and put in the inventory? Yes, absolutely. So let's move back to the other experience, because in the other one, we have that setup pretty much ready. So let's move back to the Pirate Cove, and it should still have the quest that we set up a bit earlier. So the idea with the inventory that you can use as a way to collect stuff and then use it later in the game is a good way to create some gating for players when you want to give access to a certain area, for instance, and only give access if they have found the correct object. So a key is a pretty straightforward object to find in that case. But you could also gate players by the fact that they found the equipment, for instance. If they did not find the equipment, they cannot get into the super held place that you designed with a lot of enemies, for instance. That can help not creating frustration for players when they try to access an area and they just die. So here I'm collecting treasure maps, 3 of them. I'm going to get rid of the guys here. Oh, this one is a blocker, remember. Oh. And in the inventory, I do have the treasure map as a local item. So one little clarification about the inventory. As you can see, there is a tiny clock here on the icon, and the same goes for the treasure map. So it's an indicator that the item is local to the game. So what that means is that you won't carry that item outside of the game. It is not an NFT, it is not something that you will bring back with you, it's just something that you can use here. So it applies for the treasure map and it applies for the sword in that case. And if I place any other item as a creator, it will apply that way as well. But if you have, when we implement the feature, if you have an NFT, it will be carried in your inventory inside the game. So basically, if you have a NFT sword, it will be displayed here as a sword that you can equip with a NFT tag that displays that this is something that you carry between the experiences and you keep in your wallet, and it will impact your stats the same way. Okay, I don't see any other questions. Let's wait 5 more minutes just in case, and we'll call it a day. I don't want to pay that tax. I really had fun looking for the pirates collection items. Like this tower is pretty neat. Same goes for this poor guy stuck inside that cage. Can you explain the particles? I'm not sure what particles you mean. If you are talking about this kind of effect, which is the fighting effect, it looks way better with the sword, by the way. This is something that is currently non-dynamic. It is something that is implemented in the engine, part of the mechanic for the controller. So we have the adventure controller that implements those particle effects. And the same goes for pretty much all of the interactions you have with objects. When you collect objects, when you destroy objects, for instance, those are effects that we added to the game. But the objective is to slowly open the capacities on that side, meaning that in time you will be able to implement your own effects, or at least select from a list of effects what you want to display. And I completely forgot to mention something that also brings a lot to the table in terms of sound design here, and this is the part about the effects that reminded me so, is that we now have a way to attach sounds to the collection. So we have a library of sounds that has been implemented into the game that you can use to attach to some events. So here I have the treasure found sound, for instance, that I just attached to all of those pirate maps. So now if I go back to the pirate maps and try to collect them, it will add a little more depth to the action of collecting. I should have made stairs here. Oh, I might have missed one. No, leave me be. Yep. Like when he's running and the particles following. Yep. So that's the same answer regarding the fight, regarding the run animation, regarding pretty much all animation and interactions. We have some particles effects at the moment, which are defined by the engine, but in time we will open more flexibility on that side. Do you give some help over Discord if we found some bugs? Yes, we are always happy to receive some reports about things you found that we might have overlooked. So if you see anything, please contact us on Discord by all means. So will we be able to design our own environment maps for games? Again, it's pretty much the same answer for all of the implementations regarding lightings or maps or particles or any kind of sound. At the moment, we are implementing the features that allow us to implement a library of interactions. And then we intend to extend those libraries and to allow some kind of import so that you can create your very own effects or very own sounds to implement to the game. But at the moment, we are focusing on bringing quick and easy fixes for anyone that wants to create a game in just a few clicks. I just changed the ambience to noon and go back. Oh, let's go for the scientist music, just for a bit. And while we're doing that, let's explore a little bit that creepy kind of skull-shaped totem. And this looks like a place where sacrifice happened. I don't want to end up on that platform. Hi, Captain. Okay. I think we're done with the questions. So this is all for today. So it's been a bit more than an hour. If you have any feedback, any suggestion about the format of this stream and anything you would like to see the next time we plan a stream regarding the game maker for improvement showcase and new versions, please let us know. Don't hesitate to drop a line on Discord as well, and we are always on the lookout for feedback. Thank you very much, and have a good day.